Hey everyone, it's Sunday and time for a new episode of Record Collecting with the Quill. The theme for this episode and for a bunch of upcoming episodes is I will focus a little bit on our own career. I've been talking about other bands and artists over this past year, so I thought it was would be interesting to take a look at what we've done as a band ourselves. And this is sort of connecting to the 30th anniversary we're celebrating right now. We're doing our 30th anniversary show in our hometown of Mönsterås on May 26th with a lot of cool, funny guests. Or funny, it's been fun, revisiting the past. So I thought I'll focus on sort of doing one episode per album, or something like that. We'll see where we will end up. But before we start, you know the drill. Make sure you subscribe and hit that little notice bell, and also share with your friends, especially if they're into the Quill. Well, the band started out in 1992, or they sort of started out earlier. Jolle and Krille has been playing together since the dawning of day, but it all got serious in 1992 with the addition of Magnus Ekvall, the singer, and a name change. So we sort of refer to that as the starting point. During those first years, they recorded a bunch of demos, really good ones, well worth seeking out if you're into the band. Nothing of it has been released, but the demo tapes sort of pop up from time to time on various auction sites. So if you're prepared to do a little bit of work, there's still some cool stuff to be heard that you haven't heard. I then joined in late 1993. Peter, the bass player, was moving to a different part of Sweden, so he couldn't continue with the band, and I was asked to join. I got a telephone call, someone had recommended me, and I went down for an audition and got the job. Didn't know the guys at all. I had done one work as a lighting director for them, did a show, must have been in the summer of 92, the summer of 93. So I actually started out as a lighting technician, did a show for them, but didn't know the guys. But we hit it off, I got the job, and as I said, they had a bunch of the songs for the first album were already written, but we immediately started writing more songs. So a couple of them, I remember stuff I got a demo tape of Dry and Homespun and Lodestar to learn for the audition. But then we started writing songs immediately and wrote Jet of Water, we wrote From Where I Am, In My Shed, The Flood. All those were written over a short period of time. But we didn't have any record label, so we decided to fund the first album ourselves. We started looking around for studios and found one outside of Malmö, in a small town called Limhamn. We went down to visit the studio. I think we went down in the spring of 94 to have a look at it and meet Berno Paulsson, the owner and the sort of engineer and producer in that studio, Berno Studios. We hit it off, and we ended up recording 4 albums there over the coming years. And we booked studio time for the summer of 94. We booked 2 weeks for recording and 1 week for mixing, and went down there in the summer of 94. And this was a very special summer for all us Swedes. It was number one, it was one of those really hot summers, magical in a sense. And we also had our national soccer team or football team for us Swedes in making a great appearance in the World Cup. Ended up coming third, which was a huge success. So Sweden was really like a carnival that summer. It was hot and everyone was partying, and it was football, and it was good times. And we went down, rented a house, and lived sort of a hippie life together, recording the album during daytime, and during nighttime we were watching footballs, having barbecues and drinking beer and having the best time of our lives. So we recorded over 2 weeks, and as I remember, it was really smooth. We had rehearsed quite a lot, so we were really focused, and Benno was really good at having us focus on the right things. The things I remember we rented this huge Hammond B3 organ for the recording, and we could barely fit it through the door, but the case that the organ came in was too big, so we had to leave it outside the studio. Unfortunately, no one stole it, but it was barely, I think it was just a centimeter or so. We wouldn't have fit it in through the door. And there's some great tracks on this one. As I said, it's quite different if you look at it. Here's this sort of finished piece, what it came out as. It was quite different. As I said, we were a 5-piece at this time. We had a keyboard player on this album called Anders Haglund, played mainly Hammond organ, a little bit of Rhodes as well, which make this stand out a little bit compared to our later albums. But I think I'm quite fond of this one. You always remember your first kiss, don't you? And this is, in many senses, the first album. And we were really young. I was 21, and it was my first time in a real studio in a sense. So it was sort of intimidating, but also cool. And I think the only sort of bump in the road was when we recorded the last track, I Lost the World Today. This long sort of, it's a lot of jamming, and I remember one night we were doing take after take after take, and then we're getting nowhere with this, so we ended up sort of shutting the session down, went home, and came back really early in the morning, like 8 o'clock or something, and just the first take was sort of, well, let's try to finish the stuff we couldn't finish yesterday, and it was the first take. It came out perfect. So the version on the album is sort of the morning version, recorded at 8 in the morning before our first cup of coffee. But it turned out really cool, and I think there's some really great tracks on this one, even though we rarely play anything from it, mainly because of the Hammond organ making those songs sound quite different from what we've done lately. What else can I say? Well, after it was recorded, we shopped it around to different labels and got an interest from quite a few different labels. I'll put it down. And we decided to sign with a new label in Stockholm called Mega Rock, and they signed us and another band called Backyard Babies around the same time. So we released our first albums within a couple of months between each other. And we did a couple of shows in mainly Sweden. We didn't play anything outside of Sweden. We did a couple of shows with Leif Edling from Kalmar. He had a band at the time called Abstract Algebra, and we did a bunch of shows with them. And then over the years it's been re-released. You have, since this is sort of vinyl related, this channel here, you have the 99 reissue from America, was released, or is it? No, I think this is European actually, by a label called People Like You. They used this picture. They didn't like the artwork with this sort of pseudo Jesus stuff, so they wanted something different. So they took this, was one in the original artwork in the book, and this one was really nice. They sort of had this inlay card with all the lyrics, and also this grayish sort of vinyl. It was released in 1999, and sort of the vinyl boom was nowhere. I mean, that came a lot later, so it's kind of interesting they decided to release it on vinyl. I don't know why. And also there's been a bunch of different CDs released over the years as well. This is the original one, Mega Rock. You have the first US repressing from 99. We weren't too pleased with this one because you can't see the logo of the band. You can't see what what the name of the band is. So they changed it for the European version and made it a little bit bigger, but I don't know, I'm not too fond of that. But this is the European version. And you also have this, no, that one. This one looks sort of the same, but it's actually one of the few releases we ever done in Russia. This is on a Russian label as well. And you also have the reissue on CD released a couple of years ago by our current label, Metalville. And here you have a couple of bonus tracks as well. There's one track called Shovel Cold that was recorded during the sessions that were omitted way back, but we decided to stick it here. Sounds quite interesting. Also, the artwork is kind of interesting. We got all these ideas. They had this artwork guy, the record label, they wanted us to use, so he sent us a bunch of ideas over a fax machine. Remember those? So we got tons of different ideas, and this was sort of the first one we got, and we weren't really too pleased with any of the ideas at first, but then this one grew a little bit on us. But the original version was a sort of photo, a guy with short hair, and we wanted this sort of Jesus figure instead. So he reshot it with a new guy. But over the years, some people seem to sort of overwork this, but there's really no sense behind this at all. It's just what it is, sort of a corny rock and roll cover, but someone has sort of seen it as religious or so, but that was never our intention at all. And you also have this sort of Quill. I think this one is really cool. This sort of, we refer to it as the Quill Sun, and it's appeared on almost every album we've done afterwards. It's sort of our sign or so. But a great album. As I said, I'm really sort of proud of this one, just being 21 years old, and the other guys they are a few years older than me, but it's still a good album. And I know some people prefer this to the other stuff we made, but I think we've done better. But this is still a cool album nonetheless. And if you haven't heard it, check it out. It's available everywhere on streaming services, or get the album, for heaven's sake. Well, that's it. I've spoken a lot. I thought I would just be able to sort of speak like 5 minutes for 5 minutes about each album, but I see now I'm over the 12-minute mark on just the first album, so it's going to be interesting to see how much more I have to say about the other ones. I hope you enjoy this. Let me know in the comment section, what do you think about this album? What's your favorite tracks of this one? And also, if you have any questions about the next one, Silver Haze, let me know in the comment section. I will try to answer those as well. But the first Quill album from 1995, if you haven't got it, get it or listen to it. And I'll see you all again fairly soon with the next episode talking about Silver Haze. And also don't forget to follow us on social media. It's TheQuillSweden for all the latest news and some cool stuff. I think I shot some stuff from rehearsals today with a couple of interesting guests. So be sure to follow us so that you don't miss out. That's it for now. Peace out. Cheers.